Welcome back to this round one FPO coverage here on GoThrow of the third event on the Tour Down Under 2025 season. We're at the New Zealand Disc Golf Open at the beautiful Oratia Orchard here in the heart of West Auckland. At the top of New Zealand, I'm Henry Pearson, Tour Director of the Tour Down Under, and I'm joined by five-time world champion Juliana Korver. Juliana, we had a great first nine. We saw the wind start to pick up at the tail end of the front nine. What are we going to be looking at for our back nine as our competitors scale this beautiful orchard course?
Well, the first couple holes of the back nine actually are quite a bit different than the rest of the course in that they're not underneath all of those trees. So we'll get to see the players really air it out on this next hole.
Slightly slow start for some of our competitors here on our feature card, but we're seeing the form start to pick up in that latter half of the front nine, and we turn to hole number 10.
This is par 4, 560 feet, and it is much harder than it appears. Because of the undulations, where you land on your first shot, it's pretty much blind to the basket, and this basket is on a very sloped ground. There is out of bounds both right and left, and with the wind, that can come into play.
Canada's Sofia Donnecke leads us off here on the back nine of round one. And that looks like it's going to be in a fantastic position. If it scaves away from those bushes, she might have to navigate those with her next shot, just a touch.
Yeah, it's actually better to be farther left or to be short right. Holyn choosing the left route.
It would take a seriously mammoth drive to follow Holyn's line and find the eventual left-hand OB, so she's in a great position over there on the left-hand side. Likewise, this one's shaping up pretty nicely. So we've seen OB play a bit of a factor in our front nine here at the Oratia Orchard, and I think increasingly so we'll see OB come into play in the back nine, particularly over these first sort of three holes, 10, 11 and 12. And at this point in the day, we noticed there at the end of the front nine, the wind had kind of gotten up, and that in combination with the OB and the undulation is going to make for some trying times here at the Orchard.
The shot is really tricky. You're throwing over this ridge. You can't really see the basket. And you need to get the disc to stop near the basket on that slope. Taylor far enough up the fairway that she does have the advantage of the visual line to the basket.
Unfortunately, her arm gets the better of her there as she throws it too far. Holyn's drive and approach really was the textbook way to play this hole. Far enough up the hill on the left to get a clear view of the basket, and then navigating the slope, the wind, and the undulation change.
That was actually a great place for Sofia, because if you're farther on the right-hand side, you're more level with the basket. The farther left you are, the higher you are above the basket. And she wasn't obstructed like we thought she might be by those bushes.
She'll have an inside circle look for her birdie 3. As Emily looks in an uphill bid, the height, but didn't quite have the line from 45 feet. And Sofia putting back into the wind, sees the disc rise late and hit the top band. So Holyn's going to take a shot here on our feature card, and she's starting to hit her stride, I think, here in round number 1. Temperatures on the day, 20 to 25 degrees Celsius. I don't quite know what that equates to in Fahrenheit, Juliana.
Very nice.
Summery is...
Actually, right about room temperature.
Perfect.
Hole 11. This was a bugger of a hole, only 227 feet. It played a little longer than that. It was an island green. The island is kind of in the shape of a kidney bean, and you can see just how close the out of bounds is to the basket. It was very tricky to get near this basket.
This is very much a high risk, high reward hole. And Holyn went for the safe shot, but it appears she's found OB. We have to proceed to the drop zone.
That is so frustrating when you try to be conservative and it comes back and bites you anyway. That is also out of bounds.
The penultimate sort of part of the green there where the basket sits is pretty tight. There's really only about 20 to 25 feet from the front of that island to the back of it. And,
Way off the mark there for Taylor, off the left.
Emily may have thrown it a little bit low, but she's the only one who finds the island green, and so we'll potentially be able to navigate a stress-free par. It's a fantastic approach shot from where she was.
Bit of a diabolical location for this drop zone, because if you're close enough that you can go for the putt, but if you don't hit that basket and you sort of skip a little bit at the end, very easily can go out of bounds left.
You said it so well, Juliana. It's very tempting, that basket, and it almost eggs you on to say, I'm right here, come and get me. But a little too risky, and our players fortunately had the peace of mind to think better of it. So it'll be 3 bogeys on the card. Emily takes a shot on the other players there with a nice regulation par. We head to a par 4 in the 12th.
This one's kind of fun. Par 4, 534 feet. You're throwing downhill over these trees. Ideally, you want to get past the trees so that you don't have to throw from underneath them on the way to the basket, because any kind of a restricted second shot makes this hole much more difficult.
At 535 feet downhill and potentially with the right wind, we could see an eagle look or two from our card, particularly knowing that Holyn, Sofia and Taylor throw the disc further than almost anybody on the planet. But again, angle control and navigating this elevation change will be required in order to even get yourself into such a position.
Boy, that really got knocked down in the part of the flight. There is an OB long. I think she was worried about that, but I'm guessing from that reaction that she got a green flag.
Surprise and delight to be met with the green flag from the spotter. Sofia now crushing on what will probably be a destroyer of some description, and she's testing that OB line there as well. So it looks like the favourable wind required on this hole to get up there for an eagle look is not the case today. It looks like it's blowing towards our players. Hence why we might see a few discs head right like this one is from Taylor.
Catching that last little tree keeps her in bounds.
We've got some great caddies on the bag today, and Aaron Gossage on the bag for Taylor. Braden Sides, a fantastic rising star in his own right, on the bag for Sofia Donnecke. And Robert Burridge on the bag for his partner, Emily Weatherman.
Well, Robert bag adjacent. Emily carries her own bag.
Right.
He's there for moral support.
In New Zealand, we would call maybe the act of carrying your bag do the mahi get the treats? Mahi being the te reo Māori word for doing the work. So Emily liking her own stuff and might be a good omen for getting the treats at the end of the tournament.
That was a great approach by Holyn right there. Here, Emily behind this tree. It's forcing her to throw it much higher in the air than she probably would like. Controlling it exceptionally well.
That one would sit down shortly. That would be fantastic because she deserves it after a great shot. And despite the roll away, she'll still have about 20 to 25 feet for her birdie. A bit too high and a little bit too left for that RPM helix to catch that one from Sofia. Likewise for Emily. We've seen the helix in action across all of the Tour Down Under events thus far. It's a real piece of art, I think, as a basket on any course, and unfortunately not quite wide enough to capture those three putts from our competitors. And Holyn will take a birdie 3 and a stroke on the card. She goes back to even par. Bogey birdie, but we have seen OB come into play on her last couple of holes.
Hole 13, going back down the hill, 237 feet. Kind of have to throw up and over these trees or get lucky and scoot through them underneath. There is out of bounds behind the basket. Most likely going to see either forehand or backhand spike hyzers at this.
That'll be an edge of circle look there from Holyn. Earlier in the round, Juliana, we talked about the difference in play styles between some of our competitors, with Emily and yourself preferring the more low-line drive style of play, and Sofia and Taylor in particular favouring more of an up-and-over type of approach. This hole particularly really does favour the latter, as we have so many holes out here at the Orchard with its slightly more shorter, denser style of tree-lined fairways.
Yeah, this course really took me out of my comfort zone quite often.
Juliana, you will have seen and played it all throughout your wonderful career, and I'm sure that you will have amassed all the skills to play any course, but we can still have preferences, that's for sure. Holyn with a good look there for birdie, which would have taken her under par for the first time in our round one. But alas, she'll have to hang tight for another opportunity, as Sofia bangs a great birdie in there here on hole number 13. She had a bit of a slow start, a couple of OB finds early on, but starting to battle her way back. Hopefully that birdie tips her into some momentum. Just as we were talking about Holyn being in a position to start to go under par, she unfortunately takes a 3-putt here on the 13 and will be tipping on the other side of the scales at 1 over par at the end of this hole. She's still got a little bit of an effort here. The wind plays a factor. That one's no match for her. 2 twos, a 3 and a 4 on the par 3 13th, and we move forward to a par 4.
The PDGA rating system is a valuable part of having an active membership. When you play in sanctioned leagues and tournaments, you get a rating that compares your performance to the rest of the field. This helps you understand your skill level and helps you see your improvement in the game. You also get a PDGA number when you first sign up. Your PDGA number timestamps when you sign up, locking in your place in disc golf history. So sign up today, and we'll see you out on the course.
If you want to know what a disc is going to feel like before you get it, you have to check out OTB Disc. The first thing I'm looking for when I grab a new disc is the feel of the disc. It's got to be confidence instilled. Virtually in your hand tells you what the disc is going to feel like, how heavy it's going to be, It's everything you want to know before it shows up to your house.
It's really, really helpful in not only finding a disc that looks beautiful, but is also exactly what you're looking for it to feel like. Of course, when you're dealing with OTB, you're going to get only the best.
Brought back by popular demand, Z-Lite plastic from Discraft. Disc that you already know and love, now available in lighter weights. This plastic is perfect for players with lower arm speeds as well as beginners. They can also be a great complement to the regular weight version of a disc that's already in your bag. Z-Lite, more distance with less effort.
Hole 4, 570 feet. The women play from the front tee. There's a number of ways to attack this. You can go straight down the fairway that we're flying right now, or you can try to go up over the trees and land in one of the lines to the right, which gives you a better look at this basket that plays as an island. There is out of bounds left in a creek. There's a creek line in front of it.
And if you do happen to unfortunately find that creek-lined area at the end of the hole surrounding the green, you might find your disc nestled up to a little slippery friend down there. There's plenty of eels out here on the course at the Oratia Orchard.
No, I don't know how large eels get, but those eels look very, very big to me. As in 4 feet, 5 feet?
Yeah, I think, to my understanding, that's sort of a mid-tier eel. They can get even bigger and more ominous than that. But regardless, my feeling is that they're still quite friendly fellas.
Taylor going up over the trees, finding herself in that line of trees.
Juliana, you talked about the two possible lanes that these players can play in here. Is it perhaps no surprise that we see kind of Taylor using her distance and leverage to soar over there to the right-hand side to potentially get a preferable line into the green?
Yeah, I would have been very surprised if that wasn't the shot she chose.
And unlike some of our competitors on the left-hand side of that orchard grove, Taylor does have a look at the basket, even though slightly obstructed. He's close to that eel-lined creek, but not quite in it.
Guessing this is a blind shot from Emily because of that tree's proximity. Trying to turn something over onto the green.
That looks like it's caught something early on, but no sign that it's gone out of bounds, so she'll be pitching up and scrambling for her putter. And Holyn in absolute position A here on the fairway of number 14. She's left with 15 to 20 feet for her birdie.
Hold on.
Hard to tell whether that one ended up safe or not. I think it was stressing about that one a little bit. Rightly so, it was nearing the creek.
Well, Emily's on the green, but she's farther from the basket than she would like. Beautiful putt, saving par.
That must have been 45 feet or more. Look at that. Arms stretched out, the big follow through, and absolutely jams it into the chains. What a putt there from Sofia Donnecke to save her par. Despite that beautiful putt we did see from Sofia, as we see Holyn card a great birdie here on the 14th. She did tell me earlier in the week that she was considering switching to a different mould with her putters. Currently with one variant of the Avia, but looking for something a little bit thinner in profile. So we might see her next week debuting something new in the bag. And Holyn stretches past some of our competitors there on the hole. We move on to number 15.
This is a par 3, 292 feet, throwing a little bit downhill over the trees. OB does come into play behind left of the basket if you happen to go long.
Another hole where we see it necessary to go up and over some of those orchard groves, although with the elevation change on this hole, it's not quite as significant of a factor. Holyn just slightly short on her effort. Wow.
Little assist by that limb puts her right at the basket.
Somebody's been saying thank you to the trees on the way around in the practice rounds this week, I think. It was a lovely little kiss at the end.
Taylor getting that a little too flat, but she does get the green flag. Fantastic line. Emily finding circle 1 as well.
Beautiful putt there from Holyn from outside of circle. The first time we've seen her card 2 birdies on the trot on this back nine. She's sort of, as we see on the scorecard there, back and forth, birdie, bogey, but starting to hit her stride, and now under par for the first time in our round 1. Emily likewise with a great birdie, and I think we'll see Sofia tap in for her birdie 2 in just a moment as well. Three holes to go here in our round 1 coverage.
Hole 16, par 3, 205 feet. It definitely plays farther than this. There is an out-of-bounds line on the left that kind of bubbles out right here. The basket tucked into the right behind this low limb. There is a nice sidearm shot here, or you can go straight at it, but you have to go underneath the trees.
Quite tricky, this one. One of the more technical shots on the course, and Holyn does choose that high and wide effort. Tough to see where that ended up, but she might at the very least have a standout putt. Birdie. Sophia's gone with something higher speed, and even though that's fallen short, she's going to have an open look for her birdie 2.
Because this green is so hard to get to, I don't think most of the players are thinking about attacking for a birdie. They're just trying to stay safe with their drives.
It looks like a slightly better line in length, but it does topple OB. That's a shame. It didn't quite hook up as hard as I think Taylor was looking for at the sort of dying moments of that shot. Yeah. It's a good little approach from Sofia to have a stress-free par.
Emily catching that limb. Otherwise, she'd be right under the basket. She's going to have a 15, 18-footer.
And had a little dance with the change that disc had there from Holyn. She gave it every chance to end up at the bottom of the bucket, but it just didn't quite do it for her in the end. Very good effort. And our ladies will be tapping out here for their pars. Taylor unfortunately found the OB, so she might drop a shot on the card, but 2 holes to go, and Holyn has sort of set herself a little bit of a gap between first and second, and Taylor, Sofia and Emily in a good battle behind them. But still early days. We're just round one and lots of golf to be played still.
Hole 17, par 3, 332 feet. Basket is blind. It is over this ridge, down with the land sloping down behind it and from right to left down to an OB that could come into play.
My sense is the real trouble here is if you go too far left from the tee. There is not only OB over there, it's a great shot there from Holyn, but there's also some very dense bushes which can catch you out pretty quickly. Holyn, however, navigating that shot very well. She'll have an inside circle look for birdie.
That's a fine shot. Oh, it must have rolled. Thought it was going to be right on the edge of the foliage there.
Bit of a smash from Emily. We don't see her throw too many forehands. She's got such fantastic angle control with her backhand. So, why would you, really, when you've got that sort of weapon in the bag? And Taylor, likewise, she's slightly outside circle, but will be pretty much putting level with the basket. At this course, the Oratia Orchard is a Simon Feasey design, and Simon being one of the sort of staples of the development of the game here in New Zealand. Many courses have sprouted up because of him, and so many, particularly in Auckland, have been graced with sort of Simon's touch and care. So, yeah, wonderful to have this course in what is now pretty much the most central location for disc golf in Auckland. It together with its sister location just down the road, Balaraka, which we saw on go through coverage of the 2024 Tour down under season.
Yeah, just down the road. I mean, they're less than a mile apart.
Yeah, I think even maybe half a mile. So privileged to have two fantastic venues in such short space, and maybe in years to come we might see them both and feature in the same event.
They're a nice complement to each other. Very different in characteristics.
Yeah, I tend to agree. The Orchard being a little more open and a little more undulating. Balaraka being a little more technical. Hole number 18 is where we finish off our round.
This is a par 5, 820 feet. This is a doozy. We're throwing from a very elevated tee out into this open. There is some out of bounds on the first shot. Then the second shot, you're just going for distance. I guess it's possible to clear the trees on your second shot. The basket then way uphill. There's a lot going on here, and the wind is definitely going to come into play.
It is a big hole to finish on here at the Orchard, and lots of trouble looming with OB throughout the right-hand side of the fairway and then kind of swerving its way up and around the back of the basket. Like you said, lots of elevation change, way downhill here off the first tee, and then up the hill equally as far as you approach the green.
That was a common mistake to hit that tree. It looks like she might be on the front side, so maybe she won't be completely obstructed on her second shot.
Yeah, good shot. Go.
Emily with a textbook drive in position A here on the 18th fairway. She'll be able to pitch up there to the bottom of the hill and then have a look for birdie thereafter. And Taylor hopefully flying wide as she needed to get around that tree, but she's still in a good spot there to look towards the 18th basket.
Good go.
That's way up the fairway.
And she's up on that hillside too, so we'll pretty much be able to see the basket from where she is. So this event here in Auckland is the third of 4 Tour Down Under events here on the 2025 season, and no doubt after 2 years of fantastic disc golf here to begin the year of disc golf in New Zealand, we'll be back bigger than ever in 2026 and beyond. So plenty of opportunities for fans of the game around the world to come and join us down in New Zealand for a summer of fun and years to come.
Really feels like this tour is just going to continue to grow in size, especially by the Americans that have come over and just really enjoyed themselves. So much that this country has to offer, and the generosity of the locals as well has just been such a wonderful winter break, quote unquote, for the players.
Yeah, we've seen so many lovely local people hosting players and supporting the events in different ways, and it's been an incredible amassing of Kiwi talent and Kiwi hospitality really here to make the Tour Down Under work. So we're setting ourselves up, I think, for a great year to come. Unfortunately, Taylor finds the OB long. That's a little bit unlucky, I think. We saw some great approach shots from Holyn and Sofia. They'll be in a position to card their birdie. Emily with a nice approach as well. She's got that to save her par. Taylor with an excellent putt.
Very impressive par with an out of bounds stroke.
And although she's had a back nine that she might want to have changed one or two things about, she can hold her head high after having saved a fantastic par there on the last. Emily likewise with a great par on the 18th. Sofia Donnecke ends the day on +3. She got off to a slightly slow start, but has brought it back there in her last 7 holes.
It's a really good score with all the near misses that she had around the basket.
And leader here on our round 1 feature card, Holyn Handley, with a -2 effort here on the day. And that caps off our round 1 coverage here from the 2025 New Zealand Disc Golf Open presented by RPM Discs. Holyn Handley, the highest rated player in the field, is likely leading the pack with a wonderful -2 effort. She started the day slightly slow with 2 bogeys on holes 1 and 2, but has really brought it home with 3 birdies in her last 5 or 6 holes. Emily Weatherman and Sofia Donnecke are going to be chasing her down in round 2, and Taylor Choceck will round out our round 2 lead card at the Open. Juliana, we saw some great disc golf today. What are our players going to be needing in order to perform well in round 2?
Well, they need to read the wind. The wind is supposed to get stronger as the week progresses, and that will be the biggest obstacle.
Well, we look forward to seeing you for round 2 coverage here at the New Zealand Open, thanks to our great friends here at GoPro. And with that, we'll close it out. Juliana, pleasure to be on commentary with you.